Greetings and welcome to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel. And in today's video, I'm going to continue showing you how you can derive all the 5 requirements. So in the previous video, I talked about the point, which is not really a requirement. It's actually something that was defined by the ancient Greeks as having no dimension or extent. And it was done so for a very good reason. So now I'm going to just do a little revision of what I talked about in the previous video, and then I'm going to show you how to derive the circle. So let's begin. Now, I didn't close that, unfortunately. Let me close that. Yeah. Okay, so now, this was a video where I showed you, I talked about the point and the line. Now, in Euclid's Elements, the first definition is to be able to draw a straight line from any point to any other point. And I showed you how you could do that. That's not an axiom. So let's quickly revise that particular bit of information. Just ignore this tennis ball for the time being. So I showed you in the beginning that location is the where concept. In other words, where is it? And we can define it primitively as either here or not here. And then I showed you also the definition of motion is just the change in the position. In other words, from here to not here, okay? Or from not here back to here, if we know where here is, okay? So these are all primitives. And then the primitive of direction is a motion in which what we see remains unchanged, okay? So for example, if we were, let's say over here, where I've drawn this little rectangle, and we were going to be approaching this tennis ball, then if we were staring at the tennis ball directly at the center of the tennis ball, then the distance between us and the tennis ball is the shortest distance. But if, as we approached the tennis ball, anything changed, then obviously our direction will have changed, right? In other words, so if we go like that and we don't tilt our head, then we'll be looking at something else and not the tennis ball, right? Excuse me. So any change in what we see will change the shortest distance. In other words, it will be a longer distance, all right? So in that particular case, we have the shortest distance, which is a straight line, okay? And we've defined that very clearly. So all these terms here are very well defined. And I'm telling you this because there are some idiots that think that these notions here are not well defined, but they are, and you can define them from nothing. And the ancient Greeks knew all these things. So this is what we had to do with the first requirement. It's not a postulate, it's a requirement. And the Greek here says etimata. Okay, and it says here in the first one, Itisto apo pandosimio epipansimion ευθείαν γραμμήν αγάγειν. Okay, and that simply means that you can draw, not that you can draw, that there exists a shortest path between any 2 points. And that's really what it means. And the second one is to be able to produce a finite line continuously. Well, look at this. So if we're over here and we move towards the center of this image here, it doesn't even have to be a tennis ball, whatever it is, just towards the middle of it, then obviously we can move away from it again, right? So we can extend in this direction, and we can make the line shorter or longer. So the second requirement follows very easily from the first, to produce a finite straight line continuously in any direction. So both those two postulates are important. And the reason the second one is important is that it's used in the definition of a circle, okay? And so let's close that up. And now, first of all, I want to close this up. Okay. And now I want to go to the definition of a circle. So I can easily say that a complete path is just that path which starts at one point and ends up at the same point after it has changed direction a few times, okay? So the third requirement, which is a circle, is stated as follows. A circle is the shortest complete path from which the distances to a given point, called a center, are all described by the same straight line. Okay? So that means that a straight line from one point on a circle, if extended toward the center, will meet the circle path again. So this is in my free ebook, by the way. And now this is important. Why is it important? Well, I'll tell you why. You can't just say that a circle is that path from which the distances are all the same to a given point, because then you see this white line on the tennis ball? That's a circle. And any part of this white line is a circle. And in fact, anything I draw on the surface of this tennis ball is also a circle in that respect. But that's why we have to add the next requirement, which says that if we start off at one point and we move to the center and then extend that line so that it meets the path again, it must be the same straight line from the point to the center, okay? And so, and therefore, for example, if you had something like that going around like that, that's also a circle, but it's not the circle we're talking about, because it would have to go to the center and then to the other side, right, of the circle. Well, that's not the other side. The other side is over here. But anyway, I think you can basically get the idea. Think about these things a little bit, and then they will become clear. So now I have demonstrated to you in a very short time, in 2 videos, the first 3 requirements, okay? So the first 3 requirements are these: to draw a straight line between any 2 points, to be able to extend it, and to draw any circle with a center and radius. All right. And the Greek translation here says, the Greek text says, "Ke pandi kendro ke diastimati kyklon graphese." So this here basically says that a circle with any distance, which means the same as any center and radius. Now, the ancient Greeks didn't bother trying to define all these terms, because it was understood by every Greek that, one could sit down and define these concepts from nothing. There was no need for axiom. The word axiom doesn't appear anywhere in the Elements. And so these first 3 requirements are done without actual measure. Okay, so far we've done nothing with numbers. All of them have been defined perfectly from nothing. And now, before we get to right angles, we're going to have to do some work, obviously with the previous 3, because each one of these uses the previous one to be defined, right? So this first one here uses the definition of point, which is stated right at the beginning. It says a point is that of which there is no part, okay? So everything is done systematically. Nothing was left to chance, like the morons in mainstream think, okay? There are no axioms or postulates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here, and in the next video, I will show you some more definitions that are made from a circle. For example, I'll start defining angle and everything else so that I can get to this 4th one, which says, and all right angles are equal to one another, okay? So that's what I'm going to do in the next video, and then I'll hopefully end up at the completion of definition 4, and then I'll do the last one, which is the 5th requirement, the one which is often misunderstood to be the parallel line postulate, but it actually has nothing to do with parallel lines, by the way. So more of that to follow. I hope that you've enjoyed this little video and that you'll join me again next time. I'm out of breath once again, as usual, because my lungs are not that good. And I'm trying to get everything crammed into a short period of time. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. Not too many, please, because my eyesight is not that great and I have trouble with my right eye. which is my only good eye. And please, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe, share the news of this channel, and most importantly, click like, because I have lots of enemies in the mainstream who will purposely come along and downvote the video so that others like you do not get to see or get to learn about this wonderful knowledge which has been hidden for so long, either through stupidity and ignorance or through or done on purpose because they wanted to promote the rot of set theory, ZFC axioms, and the so-called modern foundations, which are not foundations at all, but absolute rubbish. And I'm talking about the ZFC axioms, set theory, and what you will find in a real analysis course at university. Totally useless and worthless stuff. So that's it for now. This is a new calculus channel. I'm John Gabriel. Till next time, goodbye.